Today, I don't want to use the podium. So, good afternoon. Umurinzi, young professionals, thank you for inviting me. But more importantly, thank you for putting this together, this event, which goes a long way to add value to a project that already has enormous value. That is Agachiro as a concept, and then the fund as a specific project. They go together. And thank you for the speakers, because I was told you had very good speakers today, people that motivated you, and also made other contributions other than just giving you motivation. I'm told some of them gave cash as well. They gave money. The head of Equity Bank, I learned, for example, he made a huge personal contribution to this fund. I think 100 million. So I wanted to thank him in your presence. So during the motivation speeches you had, what next? I'm asking what next because listening to good speeches and being motivated is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end, isn't it? So, what next? Also, I think we've just seen. I think people have made contributions. But I think that is not even the end in itself. We are still going on. This Agachiro thing you read and heard so much about is about you, it's about me, it's about our future. It's about the value we want to give to our name, to our country. It's our future. There are clear choices to be made. That's where I start from. That's where I come from. You know, I look at all of you in this room, and through you, I see Rwanda. And I start asking myself other questions. How less important are you than others of other countries? And I find no reason that either anybody should look at you as being less important, or that you yourselves should ever believe it, that you are less important. There is no justification. You are as important a human being as anybody else anywhere in this world. Yes, professionals. Yes. Means you've done many things, you've qualified for many things that put you in that category. You are as qualified in many ways. And here, qualification, I don't mean degrees, I don't mean diplomas. I mean the value you have in you as a person. Because you could still have these degrees and actually maybe present no much value. Yes. It depends on how you raise yourself to put that there is in you to good use. To good use, to benefit you and to benefit others, to benefit society. And that is the difference, the major difference between nations, between people. Some have put to good use this that there is in them to the point it has seemingly raised them to the level above others. And we are trying to say here, we are trying to build ourselves, our nation, to the point that nobody should see us being below others. And the question is why? Why would you accept to be seen as being below others? What is it that is missing in you? So the motivation you got from, and the inspiration you got from the people who spoke to you, and I know it is not the first time people have spoken to you in such a manner that you would be inspired, and that's why I started with the question. After that, what next? We need to go beyond just being inspired and motivated so that we can do things, real things, and make things happen, resulting from that. This Rwanda has very strong foundation based on values, on traditions, on culture of a proud people. You should be a proud people. ever want to be somebody else. No. Be yourself, only improve yourself so that you can be better. And being better, it should be better you, not because you have turned into somebody else. You know, many of you have gone places. America, Europe, Asia. You've seen things, you've learned things. And there is a lot to learn out there. But you don't learn to turn into somebody else. You learn to become a better person, but the person that you are. So even as Rwanda, a nation, we want to learn, even learn from others. We want to be inspired as people in this room today. But we want to be a better Rwanda, not another thing. Not another nation. No. And I'm happy to be here to say this to you, that your generation is the one we've been waiting for. So you better stand up to be worth the expectation. And the name, so that others behind you may even come and do better. And we keep on going and going forward. So it's an opportunity, every problem, every challenge, in a sense, has a silver lining. So I think we need to learn never to despair, even with the hardest of the challenges you may face. First, in your mind, prepare yourself and say, I will be there to be counted. And counted on to deal with it. The silver lining is that we can confront, once there is a problem, you look at it and confront it. And in the process of dealing with the challenge, you will discover you had in you more than you actually knew you had. While if it was just a situation of comfort, of course, as a human being, you don't want to sit back and feel comfortable. You will not get that there is in you out to confront and deal with the challenge. So, Rwanda, the ordinary circumstances we live in and the new ones we keep facing, for me, the message is that should constitute another motivation and inspiration for us to search in ourselves what we have, and I hope there will always be what you have to confront and overcome any challenge. That's why we go back to this Agaciro Fund we've talked about, or that is there, that actually is part of our Agaciro concept overall. In fact, if you look back in history, you will find it's not the only one of its kind we have had. I can tell you a story quickly. After the genocide, when we had so many problems, mid-90s, when it came to 97, 98, actually 97, 96, 97, or mainly 97. There are people here who know, who remember the dates better than me. You know, we had our fighters of the RPF. When the war was over, they spent 2 years without getting a salary. Not because they didn't need it, but there was nowhere to draw it from. There was no money. The treasury was empty. There was nothing. Later on, when we made some good progress, and there was money, we talked about paying arrears. Arrears, you know, it's like paying for them the 2 years they had not been paid for. And at the same time, we had an insurgency in the northern part of the country. Some of you here in this room might be remembering that. Very serious insurgency. And we sat with some people, the commanders and others, and said, oh, by the way, there's a serious problem here of insurgency. Attacks were coming from across the border, day in, day out, and so many problems. I said, but we have no arms, we have no ammunition, so what do we do? And I proposed to them an idea. I said, anyway, since you survived the 2 years without a salary, and the 4 years before that, why don't we use this money to buy things that will help us fight the insurgency, and first survive that, and then you can. And everybody said, why not? I said, absolutely. So we got the billions of francs that we owed the soldiers for their salaries, after they themselves had accepted that. Because we talked to almost all of them and sought their views. And everybody was just saying, no, you did not even need to ask us. That's the right thing. You know, there was no hesitation on the part of anyone. So we got the money. So we did, I'm sure I talked about innovation here as well. We actually used that money. And again, we said, you know what, among the equipment we wanted to buy, that is the first time this army of ours started owning helicopters. You know helicopters? And he said we should buy helicopters to help us fight insurgency because they do a good job of that. And then people said, no, but Rwanda will have no pilots. And I said, well, we shall buy them also. We are going to buy pilots who will fly and fight, but also train our people at the same time. So we actually did that. So later, before that, we had sent people for training. Some of them had the basics, and the others so came and trained under these ones we bought, we hired, gave them money. And I remember for combat, you would raise a bit of what you give them. For just normal flying, it was, and then when they go to fight, they just say, okay, you'll give me double. I say, fine. Because that was riskier. There was an increased element of risk here, so I think deservedly they needed more money. So we pay them to fight and pay them to train and do the normal duties with the utility helicopters and so on. So I'm trying to bring to your attention here that the point of sacrifice, the point of saying, how do I get out of this problem, is part of us. You understand? It's our ideology. It's how we think. We want to do more, get more for less. It's part of our situation. We have very high ambitions. We have fewer resources, but we must get there. This is how people who give themselves agaciro operate like that. When you are hungry, you don't complain. You just look for how to get food. You can decide to run away because you don't belong to places where there is nothing to eat. It's fine. Anyway, that is the same as in some places there's something to eat, enough, actually more than enough, and people still are not happy with that. They go ahead and even eat other people. They actually don't eat their food, they eat them. That's what I'm saying. So it is all in how agaciro ufite ni akahe. Right? Yes. Nibyo navuga gesho. That's what I was saying yesterday. Niyo ufite, niyo utunze, agaciro katubwira, you don't brag about it. Right? Mm-hmm. No. You just want more, you build more, and you really work for it. And be happy with it. If you get something you've worked for, you should even be happy. Don't have the attitude of wanting to get anything for free. Work for it, because you can work for it. And since you have worked for it, it's really yours. If it is life, it's your life. It's not a borrowed life. If you somebody has to give you favors all the time to get what you want. That is just borrowed. It's not yours. This is who we are, and this is who we should be. No apologies about it. We should not be apologetic about being this kind of person, because I think this is who we should be. And that's why, like the political animals some of us are, I'm happy to say the RPF, the Rwandan Patriotic Front that I know so well that I'm part of, this is our ideology. This is the ideology we need to realize ourselves, to realize being who we want to be. This is an ideology, in fact, that all Africans need. I don't think there is a better group of people I should be talking to, telling them this than your group. So that's why this Agaciro Fund, that's why I was saying this Agaciro Fund is not just money. We are happy, and the bigger the fund becomes, we are even happy. Certainly it is part of it, but the biggest value of it lies in the concept, in the spirit. That's where the biggest value lies. And that is what we ask of you, so that our country develops and continues to develop. We ask for your understanding of this concept and philosophy, and we ask for your commitment. That I feel, in fact, you owe your country, your nation. So the fund also helps us bring in friends from near and from afar. There are many people who have identified with Rwanda all along, who identify with Rwanda's challenges and pain, but also who are happy and associated with Rwanda. I'm happy to say that as you are here, those you represent, and others who are coming in behind, following your footsteps, are and actually should be, and it's up to you to make it that, the invincible army of our nation. What I meant is the army your choice to be part of that. It's also your choice to fall out and belong somewhere else. And hope that you will be happy with the consequences of either choice you make. Our choice is a different one. Is that of continuing to march forward. Let me finalize by mentioning one small thing, because some of the big things result from small things that matter that build up to that big thing. And if you ignore those small important things, then you don't get to the big things you want. You see, let me challenge you a little bit. For things of everyday life, things that I think matter, that you probably notice with the people in those societies that have developed and far ahead of us and far ahead of the rest. They work hard, and I mean they work hard, the same way they play. They work so that they become competitive. Become competitive globally. They mind trying to perfect things, take them that far. They don't get easily tired and collapse and complain and, no, you go on. You need work, whether it is study or work in the factory or you work, you think. A researcher will probably, go to sleep and 1 hour wakes up and remembers something they did not complete and go back and work at it and go again and, And they don't expect that somebody will be around to sympathize and say, oh, sorry, so you did not have enough hours of sleep. You don't do that. But for some of our societies that are still developing, it's as if you really have to do something and do it well and perfect it and work hard at it because somebody is behind you, either praising you for doing so well and or sympathizing with you and saying, oh, but you're working too hard, This thing, please, I beg you. No, drop that attitude. Yes, and you can develop it. Attitude is a mentality thing. Is, even the cultures change. Or they really people get satisfied with little or nothing. It's like but the attitudes go together. You do one thing and it's enough. What makes it enough for you? What is enough? In other words, I'm talking about the acceptance of mediocrity. Why do you embrace and accept and accept to sit with mediocrity? Live with it. Why? Don't accept it as a person, but don't accept even to put up with it with another person. You must be working together on something. These are things that matter, that you cannot escape if you want reality. If we want to be where we want to be, there's no way you can avoid it. Not accepting mediocrity. You know, then you talk about, I think we have been talking about poor services we get almost in everywhere. You are the people who run those companies and who work in those companies. Please, I beg you. Just get rid of it. Nobody needs it. You don't need it. Even if some people get a lot of money from such a bad service or incompetence, because I call it incompetence, if you are really serving people so poor, in a place like ours, you can make a lot of money over not doing so much here or not doing so well or anything. Yes? You come and you build a house. I want a house. You build a house. It comes out somehow. There's nothing in line with the other. And after that, you come to me and I pay you and you go away and I stay with this. So, the fellow walks away with a lot of money. I stay with the Ramushako of the house, something that has no balance, and I live in it. Am I saying something you're not familiar with? This happens. So the problem is both ways. The problem is with the one who does a bad job, and the problem is with that one who accepts it and pays for it. It works two ways. Right? Yes. You must help our society, our people, this Rwanda, our people to be very demanding. Demanding having work done and work done properly. And it is your duty, it is your challenge, you people here in this room, to be the ones to set the example. Yes. Example by demanding that if somebody is giving you a service, it must be a good one. It is your right, actually. But also demanding in a sense that if you're giving a service yourselves, like some of you give service, give a good one, please. give a good service. Imagine the other one at the other end receiving a service from you is you receiving it. How would you want it? How would you want to be served? Don't look at the other person just like the other person who you can fix anything anyhow and he walks away with it and you get what you wanted from it. Right? Yes. This is how we can change. We can elevate ourselves to that level we deserve to be. We need to be at that level. Customer care. Yes, you are getting money from that customer, you must pay a lot of attention. You mustn't be thinking that you are doing this customer a favor. I think the customer is doing a favor to you, coming to you. And you really must treat that relationship as very important. Right? So, that is your homework. But the society also must, through that, and as I have seen, as you have seen, those societies have some level of discipline. You know, discipline doesn't mean you conform to one thing. No. Discipline is keeping to the good choices you have made. And really moving as if there is an agreement that that is the best thing to do for you as a society. Right? Is do things differently, think differently, but to do all that, attaching to everything you are doing these very values I'm talking about. All right. I know how some of these speeches can take people to sleep. But I just wanted to thank you and to appreciate that we can be together in this fight to bring our country where we want it, that is no less valuable than where other countries have taken their countries to those levels. They have delivered their countries. And that's why I always ask myself, and I have asked this question to you, ask yourself when you are in your private moments, keep rolling this in your mind and ask these many questions. I always ask, I said, we call these people abagiraneza, murabazi? Abatwirwa turwana nabo buri munsi, who switch on, off. the friendship sometimes also, but more often the money they give us to support our development. I always ask myself, why should a citizen of another country have an obligation to pay taxes that feed me forever. I'm asking myself, ask yourself. You are here, smart, young women, ladies, but ask your mom and say, look at yourself and say, am I the person that should forever? You know? Live on the generosity of other countries' citizens. Really. You know, the countries squeeze their own citizens, you know, tax problems are everywhere. This one. There's not a citizen of any country that does not complain about tax. Have you ever heard of any country? So even when you complain here about I understand. I understand those tax collectors as well. But there's not a country. But then, so imagine, every citizen, the citizens of other countries every time are complaining that and part of that is to feed this beautiful African. Well, I don't mind if it is done in a temporary manner, but to be done forever is blasphemy, actually. Mr. Kiriogo, it's an offense, a very serious one. You know, this is what should also motivate you and drive you and say, no, we need to get ourselves out of this. We need to get our families, our neighbors, our whole country out of this. I would rather we were in a place where our citizens would also be held responsible for that. And they could also contribute to the well-being of others. I think we have that debt. Woman and what else the Hugo? In the end, we should come, we should say, okay, you rest. Let me do the job now. And let me also look after you. And you know, some of them are starting to get problems. they need our help. Do you think? I think some of you should help politely by employing some of them. in your companies. And by the way, I think they might also help you to make your companies work better. They bring in another culture that you are not yet used to. So they are out there looking for jobs. Take advantage of that. But a good advantage so that you improve each other, improve one another. Is some expertise they have and the manner in which they do things that is very good, that we need. But you have some resources to make them earn a salary, isn't it? Okay.